And in this programme, we aim to show you how easy it is to learn this fantastic sport, so long as you get help from a proper instructor.
In the first section, I'm going to demo the simple progression from standing on your board through to basic heel and toe turns.
Then I'll find a couple of complete novices and hand them over to Becky to see if she really can get them motoring in just a couple of days.
And after that, I'll look for a self-taught klutz with a load of rotten habits and straighten him out. You'll do.
Oh, fine. And apparently, with my technique polished, in section 5 we stay safe on the mountain, looking at the rules of the road and how to make the most out of various weather and snow conditions.
Next, we examine the kit, notably the different board designs and binding setups, and see how the subtlest tweaks can make a significant difference to your performance.
And in a self-indulgent wrap-up, we reveal what you might hope to achieve if you lose all sense of reason. It all starts with scooting, the best way to get around on the flat, as well as helping you get used to having a plank on your foot. From there, with the back foot attached, we find the gentlest of slopes and move on to straight running and immediately work on a relaxed posture. On a steeper slope, the next progression is side slipping, controlling your speed by altering the angle of the edge, first looking down the hill on your heel side edge and then facing the hill on your toe side edge. With a little shift of weight during the side slip, we move on to the forward or diagonal side slip. It's all about developing edge control. The next progression is the falling leaf, which involves floating forwards and backwards down the foreline, very much as the name suggests. And as with all the exercises, we'll do them both on the toe and the heel side. The final step before the first complete turn is the garland, which introduces steering towards and away from the fall line. You loop across the hill by heading down the slope and then swinging back up. Your track ends up looking like a garland. And then by linking all those sliding, weight transfer and steering skills, you get to perform your basic heel and toe turns. And there endeth the first lesson.
Alright geezers, minute away.
So, anyway guys, what about this morning? I was totally stoked on those freshers.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that hit this afternoon.
Yeah, the transition was a bit whippy, but I got a nice shifty off that kick.
Back 360, Tim.
Cheers.
Cool. Can I come and ollie around with you geezers sometime? Because I want to check out my chicken McTavishes.
Well, snowboarding, as you can see, has its very own culture and its language, which some know a bit better than others. But you don't have to be a part of that to start, and to prove it, we're going out in the street to find two totally normal human beings who've not so much as sniffed a snowboard in their life before. So here, Director, where do you reckon we're going to find these people then? Ski school, High Street?
We'll try the high street, huh?
Okay, let's go.
Hey, check this out,
Where? Come on, say, come on. Excuse me, I wonder if you'd mind asking just a few questions. We're doing some snowboarding, and would you like to be a beginner?
Nou, Entschuldigung, ich verstehe Sie leider überhaupt nicht.
Good start. Perhaps an English speaker might be better. Come on, look.
Excuse me, sir, correct me if I'm wrong, but I do believe you're off skiing.
Yeah, that's right.
Do you know you've forgotten your sticks?
Oh, not again.
Never mind, never mind. How would you like to be taught to snowboard by the 6 times British champion?
Yeah, that'd be cool. He must be brilliant.
Sorry, Becky. Come on then. Excuse me, I can see you're busy, but we're looking for people who might like to learn to snowboard. Would you be interested?
Snowboard? That's what I do for a living.
All right, good choice. Sorry, thanks anyway. First choice snowboard guide. I sure can pick him, eh? Here we are. Excuse me, sir, we're making a video for Basie. I was wondering... Instructor, eh? This place is full of them. Hey, don't we know him? you, mate. What's your name? Your name?
Oh, Spiky, man.
I do, Sparky. You off to do a bit of snowboarding,
Yeah,
I see.
yeah, geezer, look at this. It's cool, isn't it?
Done much before?
No, but I've done a bit of street, bit of skate, you know, a bit of surf, you know, try it all out. It's going to be easy, man, easy.
So you don't fancy any free lessons then?
Nah, I don't need know that, mate. No.
Sure. Well, maybe see you on the piece then, Sparky.
Yeah, monster geezer.
OK. Need just one more, don't we?
Yeah, girl would be good.
And where are we going to find one of them at this time of day?
Oh, check it out.
Excuse me, miss. I wonder if you might answer a couple of questions. First of all, are you here for the skiing?
No, the après ski.
Indeed, yes. And have you ever skateboarded before, anything like that?
In those shoes.
Indeed, yes. Well, would you mind taking part in a little snowboard experiment?
I'm game for anything.
Well, first of all, I think we better get you dressed properly.
Thermal breathable underwear saves the need for stacks of bulky clobber. Thereafter, well, jeans may give you attitude, but they also give you hypothermia, since they have no thermal properties and absorb water like a sponge. Today's boarders wear looser fitting pants, sweaters and lightweight tops made of high-tech fibres. This gives freedom of movement and maintains a constant temperature in the ever-changing mountain weather. Specialist snowboard gloves are reinforced and some have wrist supports. And to retain body heat, a hat is de rigueur.
Feeling comfortable and looking good, our recruits are now off to gather some hardware. In the early stages, it's a good idea to hire, and classy operators like First Choice will always recommend stores where both the equipment and advice are excellent.
Hello, I'll help you.
Yeah, we'd like some snowboarding gear, please.
Yeah, have you ever snowboarded before?
No, complete beginners.
Yeah, so maybe we look for the boots. You know your size?
39.
39?
And 44.
And 44.
Selecting boots? There are two basic options, hard or soft. Indeed, some have their first attempts using their original ski boots. But for learning and progressing, I'd recommend soft boots every time. Unlike many ski boots, they're as pain-free as a pair of carpet slippers.
It should be tight, but not uncomfortable.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, a super snug pair of carpet slippers, because to perform properly, they must hold the foot to keep you in direct contact with the board.
These feel a bit tight around here.
Is it? Just stand up and kick your heel. Is it better now?
Yeah, it feels better, but they're still a bit too tight.
Is it too small? So we look for a larger one. Yours is all right?
And don't be pressed into taking the first pair you try. Reinhardt will pretend to be quite happy to persevere all day.
No, it still feels okay.
It's all right. So we look for a larger one.
Looks like our guys have got their boots all sorted out. Now all we need to do is find out if they're going to be regular or goofy. There are, of course, two ways to stand on a board, and you have to decide on a preference so you know which way to fix the bindings. If you ride with your left foot forwards, you're regular. But riding with the right foot forward, and I'm sorry to report, you're goofy. Those who have done a board sport before, such as surfing or skating, will usually have a preference. Somebody who has no idea, a good way is to step onto a skateboard. The first foot they put on is usually the strongest front foot. For me, it's the left. I'm regular.
The first thing is...
Learn to use the bindings in the shop. First attach the leash to the front leg. This stops the board sliding off when you're getting in and out of the bindings. These are typical soft bindings that you use with soft boots. They've got two straps. Fasten the front one firmly, but not too tight or you'll get cold toes. The ankle strap is the important one because it pulls the boot into the heel cup and holds the foot securely in the binding. We'll be going into the business of boards and setting up bindings in more detail later on. The hire shop should set the width and angle of the bindings for an easy start. There are hundreds of different board designs.
So what sort of board do I need?
For a beginner, a short board is easier.
Short in this case means not much higher than chin height.
This is good.
Why short? Because smaller boards turn more easily, and that's just about it. Hey, wait up you guys. Now, before we head off, we really need to check we've got everything we're going to need on the mountain. So, hats, Goggles, glasses if we get the sunshine, gloves, lip cream and suntan lotion. Really important, even on a cloudy day you need good sun protection. Lift passes. I think that's just about it. Shall we rock and roll?
The right clothing and equipment properly set up and in the company of the British champion. Things are looking good for these two. But the route that most debutantes take, especially if they're on the macho side, is to head straight up the mountain, strap the thing on and see what gives. And so it is that the first day's snowboarding is so often likened to being run over by a truck. But it really needn't be like that. And right on cue, here's Becky leading her charges to a place that's more akin to a large billiard table than Everest.
Right then, we're here.
It's almost a bit flat.
Well, where do you want to go? To the top of the mountain? Don't forget, you've never snowboarded before, and we want to start off in a good way so that you can learn to get good balance on your board. First things first, I think we'll do a little warm-up.
Warm-up? But I've been dancing in the disco all night.
Yeah, but that was quite a while ago now. We need to warm up properly before snowboarding to lessen any chance of injuries. Right, pop your boards down out of the way. Make sure you put them down on their bindings because they don't have any brakes, and we want to make sure they don't slide off down the hill. Come hold of this lot, you guys. Just follow me. Right, now that we're ready, you can grab your boards, clip your front foot in, and we're ready for scooting. It may be flat here, but when it's steep you'll need your leash. Get into the habit of putting it on before you clip in.
As Becky said, with no brakes, there's nothing to stop the board sliding off when it's the right way up. And left to its own devices, it will quickly begin to do what it does best, and even on the shallowest of inclines. And the damage it can cause is just too horrible to describe on a family programme.
The aim of scooting is to keep the board flat on the snow and use the back foot to push along as if you were on a skateboard. To maintain your balance, you have to keep the weight on the front leg. Scooting is the best way to get used to being on your board. It's also handy for that whole drag lift thing later on. Now it's your turn. Because Annabelle isn't standing on her front foot, the board can't glide. It's all a bit of a struggle, really. Xander, however, prefers to gallop along with the board rather than let it slide. He just needs to leave it on the snow.
With the weight more on the front foot, Annabelle looks a lot more comfortable, but how does she feel?
Whoa, Annabelle. First time on a snowboard, how does it feel?
Oh, I'm really not sure about this at all.
Why?
Well, it just feels really strange having something strapped to your foot.
You are making a bit of progress, though.
Yeah, I suppose I am. Maybe I'm getting there.
We're in a perfect spot here to do some of our first exercises because we can clip the back foot in without the board sliding away. All we're going to do is have a straight run down the hill while you balance over your board. Don't worry about when you get to the bottom because it's a flat enough slope. You'll just naturally come to a stop. You won't have to do anything. So just give yourself a wriggle to set off and don't forget to smile. This is where we sort out your basic posture. That's to say, the way you stand on the board. It's the foundation for all advanced riding, and getting it right now will save you a lot of grief later on. To end up nice and relaxed on the board, you should turn your head to see where you're going, keep the hands slightly away from the body to help you balance, have your upper body facing the same direction as the front foot, and keep the legs gently flexed with the weight shared equally between both feet. The guys both look a bit tense on their first runs, which is only normal. Annabelle's aeroplane arms show she's probably using muscles she never knew she had. However, this exercise takes her mind off things and helps her loosen up. And this one exaggerates bending and stretching the legs, which is going to be a key element of turning later on. Clipping your back foot on the flat was dead easy, but now I'm going to show you how we can do it when we're on a slope. Obviously, to get up there, if you keep your board flat, you're going to go nowhere fast. What you need to do is turn your board around so it's across, dig the edge in so that you can get some grip as you walk up the slope. Once you get to where you want to go, just drop your back foot below you, and then you can swing the back of the board round, and that enables you just to sit down, and then you can put your back foot in with no problem. That's all very well and good if you want to start off on your heel side. Otherwise, you're going to have to lift the nose of the board up and use your whole body to make yourself roll over. And then you're ready to go.
Well, despite disco fatigue, Annabelle storms away. With a bit of practice and coordination, you'll soon fly uphill.
Right, well, now that you've got good posture and you can balance on your boards, we need to figure out how to use the brakes on these things. We're going to do that trying side slipping. Now, we need to have the slope a little bit steeper than it was before, and I think this looks just about perfect. You use side slipping for speed control. Keeping the board across the slope with the weight over both feet, you can move directly down the fall line. To speed up, stretch the legs and flatten the board to the snow slightly. To slow down, bend the legs and tilt the board onto its edge. Okay, here we go. Use one hand on the snow. That's it. Now just put your hands over my hands. Flatten the board a tiny bit. Wait till you start moving. Look up, look where you're going. That's it, nice and smooth. And then just dig your edges in again when you want to slow down and stop. Good, not bad at all. Have a go at it on your own this time. Is that a bit tricky? All right, try this. Put your hand in really close to your hip and bring your shoulders over the front of the board. Use this spare hand to reach out as if you were grabbing onto a bar to help pull yourself up. And keep your heel edge digging in at the same time. That's it, you've got it. Okay, really gently squeeze your toes down. Try and make it smooth. Right, are you ready?
Yep.
Okay, what I'd like you to do, to make it less jerky, I want you to imagine you've got some soft fruit under your toes. Give me the soft fruit of your choice.
I think it's got to be plums.
Okay, plums it is. Right, you're going to squeeze these plums and try and squeeze the juice out of them so that you can get it out without actually breaking the skin. So you've got to be really gentle. Okay, do you think you can do that?
Yep.
Let's try it.
Okay.
Yep, you up? Right, here we go. Just gently. Okay, a little bit squashed, aren't they? Nice and easy. That's better. You got your balance? Feel okay?
Yeah.
There you go. See if you can carry on your own. Because Xander doesn't manage to keep the weight on both feet, the nose of the board points down the hill and he goes too fast.
And here's another classic mistake. If you flatten the board off too much, you'll catch the downhill edge and take a tumble for sure. And after a tumble, always swing the board across the slope before you stand up. Believe me, I've had plenty of practice. Now, with better balance and with minimal fruit abuse, Xander is sliding with grace and purpose.
Xander, it seems to me that your plums have got a bit more juice in them now, and your edges are controlling better. What's Becky told you to make the difference?
I think it's purely down to flexibility. Initially I was a bit rigid, but then Becky told me to start bending and stretching my legs a bit more, and that seems to do the trick.
Off you.
Thank you.
Side slipping on your toe edge is easier because you need less effort to tilt the board and control the pressure. But you have to make a special effort to see where you're going. Of course, Becky has done a bit before, but just check out how little effort she uses because she's balanced, loose and flexible.
With the diagonal side slip, you can start to change direction. A small shift of weight towards the nose of the board means that you'll side slip diagonally across the slope. Xander finds out that flattening the board makes it turn towards the fall line and he's off. Annabelle keeps the edge gripping along the whole length of the board and shifts her weight well, but her straight legs make it a bit of a bumpy ride. By adding steering to all the skills learned so far, you create this sweeping action that gives the exercise its name, the falling leaf. Right, don't forget that when we do the falling leaf, this is where we introduce steering. So use your feet as your steering wheels. Press down your toes on one foot, and that encourages that end of the board to slide down the hill. Then you can take over with the other foot, and that's how you get this swingy, falling leaf motion.
Okay,
yeah?
I'll give it a go.
Great. This time Xander gets the technical bits right and his no-fear attitude allows him to deal calmly with the acceleration.
At the moment, Annabelle lacks that confidence, and because she doesn't want to pick up any speed, she never flattens off either end of the board. So Becky decides to move down the slope with her to lend a hand. That's the advantage of having an instructor.
Remember, on the toe side it's harder to see where you're going. Use the swing across the slope as an opportunity to check what's below you. The garland is a series of falling leaves in one direction across the slope. It lets you practice the beginning and end of the turn, but without ever having to cross the fall line. You start as per falling leaf, shifting the weight a little onto the front foot to help you steer towards the fall line. You slow down by steering with the back foot to bring the board across the slope, finishing with the weight spread equally on both feet.
OK, chaps, follow that. Becky recognised that Annabelle was more mobile on the dance floor than she was on her board, so she gave her this exercise. Stretching as she turned towards the fall line, then bending as she slowed down to improve her steering. By contrast, Xander already had an over-enthusiastic torso, so Becky reined him in by making him hold his knees. He then had to concentrate on turning with his feet and not his upper body.
Well, have you guys had enough of climbing up yet?
Absolutely.
Definitely.
OK, well now that you have enough control to come down the slope safely, we can start using the lift to get back up again. Here in Hinterglen we've got a nice little rope tow. Other resorts have all sorts of lifts, so for top tips of how to get up the mountain, there's a whole section on it later. OK, what we're going to do is leave our back foot free so that we can scoot around to the lift. You can then use your back foot on the stomp pad so that it doesn't slide off. Keep the board flat, facing right up the hill, and we're going to hold on to the red bars with both hands, as if you're water skiing. Slide on up to the top. When you get there, just put your back foot on the ground so that you can scoot away. If you do take a bit of a tumble, don't worry at all. Just roll over to the side and clear the track as quickly as you can and wait for me there. Any questions?
Nope.
No.
OK, right, let's go. Right, get your board nice and flat, pointing up. Stand your foot on the back. Have you got balance?
Yep.
Right, there's a handle coming up. Get ready to start gripping. That's it. Keep your arms straight. Keep the board flat. We'll see you at the top.
Okay.
No problem. Xander gets the landing exactly right. As soon as he reaches the top, he scoots well clear before sitting down to clip in his back foot.
So let's recap. The aim so far has been to develop a relaxed posture, good steering skills, which then lead to better balance, and leave our guys at least in fine shape to try some basic turns.
Okay, Annabelle, we're going to try some basic turns. So like the Garlands, we're going to steer down the hill, but instead of going to all the trouble to turn back across, we're going to make it easier and we're just going to carry on steering the way we started. So I'm going to come with you and I'm going to help you through the turns. Okay. So just let me hold your hands. You're going to use your front foot as your accelerator. Push it round, onto your toes, slow down with your side slip. Perfect. Now, stand up nice and tall. Use your front heel as your accelerator. Keep steering round and slow down with that. That's perfect. Now we'll do one more turn. Stand up, weight onto your front foot, use that accelerator, start sinking down. Excellent. Feel good?
Becky's turns are a lot more flowing because she's coordinating all the movements. The chief difference between this and the Garlands is that the edge actually changes during the turn. She starts on her heel edge, flattens the board off into the fall line, and then rolls onto the toe edge to finish off the turn.
Annabelle's turns didn't start too brightly. On the first attempt, she didn't even make it through the fall line. Shame about the glasses. Then things began to look up. This time, the glasses stayed on. She kept tripping up because she was rushing the edge change. She got away with it on the heel side, which is easier, but not on the toe side. She made her first successful turns on both sides when she let the board roll flat before tilting onto the new edge, even though at this stage she resorts to throwing her upper body around. Eventually she gets the steering and bending and stretching right, and it all looks rather smooth.
But she really slapped the icing on the cake when she let the board run and got a little speed up. With the weight off the board, she began to flow like a true pro.
Hey, Annabelle! Slow down! That's incredible. Now, did you honestly think when you came here on your après ski holiday that you'd leave knowing how to snowboard?
Absolutely no way.
But in the beginning you did have just a little bit of a crisis, didn't you?
I did. It just felt so strange when I first got on the board and I was all strapped in. But then Becky started to show me some exercises and I started to loosen up and gain some confidence. And now I'm making turns.
And you're covering the mountain with some style.
Absolutely.
So what's the plan from here?
Well, there is one problem. I'm just too knackered to go to the disco.
So how about an early night?
Xander's technique is temporarily put aside as he puts all his concentration into just getting round those turns. He just needs to remember the basics. Then his early solo efforts took him off-piste, which was perhaps a little ambitious at this stage. But a bit more speed and confidence, and he's starting to incorporate the good techniques he learned earlier. Then, off on his own and full of youthful bravado, he goes too fast and it all starts to go a bit pear-shaped. He disregards everything he's learned and adopts a sort of Quasimodo survival stance. A common fault with many who don't take lessons.
It didn't take long to remind Xander of the basics, and once Becky got him to stand up again and slowed him down a little, he soon began to coordinate all the steering and weight change elements needed to make smooth basic turns.
Xander looking a lot better than yesterday. Well, I have to say, you look quite sort of hunched up and out of control. What's Beck told you that's made all the difference?
Well, I think the main tips were that she said
keep your hands over the ends of the board, make sure your shoulders are nice and high, and make sure your knees are bent most of the time, especially when you're slowing down.
So what does that make you feel like when you're boarding?
Brilliant, it's just so much more comfortable and just much more confident as well.
Excellent.
By the last day, his body language reveals all. He is totally into the thrill and exhilaration of snowboarding. From this point on, he just needs a little help as he keeps progressing to make sure he doesn't shoot off the rails as he did before.
Alexander, I reckon in 2 days, thanks to Becky's lessons, you've come about as far as I have in 2 weeks. And the fact that you're still out here on the floodlit piste at nearly midnight suggests that you're hooked. How do you like it compared to your skiing?
I love it. It's so much fun and it's so fast. It's really easy to pick up and you get these nice comfy boots.
I hate you. Let's go.
As promised, here's our further guide to getting up the hill. There are various modes of transport. The longer trips out of the valley will often be taken by the cable car or the 4, 6 and 8 man bubble cars. No great technique needed here, you just sort of walk into them. But when it comes to taking chair lifts and drag lifts such as the button tow and the infamous T-bar, there are a few things you need to know.
Different types of chairlift take anything from 1 to 6 people, but the procedure for getting on and off is much the same. With the back foot out, scoot onto the platform. Look round as the next chair arrives, catch it with one hand and sit down. After a clean takeoff, pull the safety bar down and lift your board onto the rest. As for getting off, lift the bar well in advance, edge forward to the front of the chair, make sure the tip of your board is up and then slide away with your back foot on the stomp pad. And if you do experience a rough landing, just move off to the side and clear the runway.
There's a bit of etiquette too. Although our board hangs sideways, we don't need a chair all to ourselves. Boarders and skiers can rise together in perfect harmony. And when getting off, it's really not the done thing to use your fellow man as a mobile crutch, then head off at right angles to cut him up. Hold your line until you're well clear. Drag lifts. I don't mind telling you, I've had a few problems with these, but only because I wasn't sure what to do.
OK then, let's start with button lifts. Some leave both feet in. Normal practice is to unclip the back foot. Then you can use it to scoot yourself into position and to help you balance as you take off. With the board pointing up the hill, grab the pole, slip it behind your front leg, bend a little to absorb the pull before putting the back foot onto the stomp pad. From there, it's a case of relaxing, keeping the board flat and letting it follow its own course over the ruts. As you reach the top, pull the pole with both hands and throw the button away. Make sure you scoot out of the way before the next bloke has a chance to run you down.
T-bars were originally designed to drag 2 skiers and not 2 laterally mounted boarders. So Spiky can perhaps be forgiven for his unconventional approach, although he'd probably use less energy walking up. But where there's a Becky, there's a way, and just by tucking a prong behind the front leg, you hitch a painless, uncontorted ride to the summit. And if you weren't friends at the bottom, you certainly will be by the time you reach the top.